All right, what's going on, everyone? Got Zach here again, and we're bringing back the Npdl weekly recaps. The recaps that are coming on not a weekly basis because of everything that's going on in my life. We spent a little time looking at the NDA run, but now we are back with the league that's happening now. And in week 6, we have our battle versus Cole, who is the lovely and fantastic commish of the Npdl, owner of the most gorgeous ginger hair you'll ever see in your life. A fantastic guy. I've had the pleasure of playing him multiple times. Nothing but good vibes. An amazing commissioner, runs our league incredibly. So nothing but respect to him. But we got to beat him down today. That's our job, and that's what we're going to try to do with this team. As always, everything for my meta is down below. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, you want a little bit of that championship difference, feel free to request a session down below. I'm always open to new clients. Today, we are taking on, again, the commish of our lovely league, who is bringing a very, I don't want to say interesting because that makes it sound bad, but interesting in a really good way. Team, it's kind of hyper offensive in a way. It's pretty, in my opinion, it's hyper offense, but then he has Gastrodon, Skarmory, Grimmsnarl. But he's coupling that with Metacam, Swellow, Regieleki, and Teleon, which is absolutely insane that he was able to get all those. So we got to figure out how to deal with those offensive threats and Skarmory, Gastrodon at the same time. So the first Pokemon we have, obviously, you know Aegislash is coming. We're running a very defensive Aegislash. The defense is to take on Fire Punch Metacam, which is Metacam's only way of hitting Aegislash. We have the King Shield for that leftovers recovery, switching forms back. And then Shadow Ball Flash Cannon, as well as Shadow Sneak, which can be really good for dealing with stuff like Decidueye and Metacam. And then pretty much Aegislash is here to kind of be a buffer between a lot of those physical threats. It's here for Swellow. Really the only thing that Swellow can run that deals significant damage is Heat Wave. But if he specs, he has to make a really kind of a raw prediction because everything you go for won't really be hitting us. I'm kind of expecting like specs, dual stab, Heat Wave, U-turn type of thing. But King Shield is really nice for reverting back to shield mode after we go for a Shadow Ball or stuff like that. But Flash Cannon is so we're able to hit the Swellow. Potentially Shuckle. I don't anticipate Shuckle coming, as well as Grimmsnarl, because I could see a universe where we have to go 1v1 against that, and I want to be able to hit that super effectively. Then we have Tapu Fini, which we're also running a max defense Fini, again for the Metacam because it is such a big threat, but he really doesn't have super solid answers to Fini. So my thought process was more so I want to use it as a stall breaker to try to whittle down some of his defensive mons, so that's kind of why we have Taunt Nature's Madness. This is mostly tailored towards beating down Gastrodon. Gastrodon does get poison coverage. It gets, I think, Clear Smog and Sludge Bomb, so it's able to hit us. We are also able to taunt Skarm from setting hazards, which is really nice. We also have Defog. This is our hazard control. He does have Shuckle. I don't anticipate to come, but on the off chance it comes or he brings a hazard stacking Skarmory, I need to be able to get hazards off, and this is really the only thing that works for that. And Moonblast is pretty unresisted. Again, it's only Skarmory. So, and that is getting taunted, it's getting Nature's Madness, and it's getting defogged on. So I'm comfortable having Moonblast as our only defensive moves, running leftovers. We're kind of just sitting there, whittling his team, pressuring Metacam from an offensive standpoint. This is also a good natural check to Inteleon because we're resisting the water moves. Inteleon really doesn't get any super effective coverage. So that is a nice secondary check to that as well. Then we have Vikavolt, which we're running an offensive Vikavolt, I think, for the first time. We're running Agility Throat Spray. And the thought process behind this is if I have an Agility up, this can potentially win at almost any point in the game just because of the coverage we have. Regieleki, I think, has to be dead because he can, boom on me. He can, wild... he can do a lot of stuff. But we'll outspeed Swellow after an Agility. Swellow dies, Inteleon dies. Metacam dies. At +1, at neutral, he needs just a little bit of chip. Decidueye needs a little bit of chip as well, but Skarm will die. I think Gastrodon will die at +1, depending. If he's Fizdef, I don't think Spadef will die necessarily, even at +1, or especially if he's Rindo. But again, at +2, we're outspeeding his whole team. We get that Throat Spray to get a little bit of extra offensive damage, and this can potentially just sweep late game. So that's kind of what we're going for. This is also the Skarmory answer, as well as we're kind of going to try to use Skarmory as fodder, especially if he's more of that defensive set that really can't hit us. We can Agility up, Thunderbolt, pick that off, and go from there. Scrolling down, we have Whimsicott, which we are running Yachi Whimsicott because our answers to Inteleon outside of Fini are not really the best. This is our only other water resist on our team. So we're running Yachi Berry so that we can try to lure an Ice Beam out from Inteleon and kill it with an Energy Ball. I'm not really trying to get HP back. I need Energy Ball to secure a potential kill, especially if he's running a little bit of HP. Unfortunately, we're not able to outspeed Swellow or Inteleon, so we're just running a bit of a bulkier set. I think we're ahead of Metacam. I forget what exactly the speed hits, but we're running max HP and then a little bit of special attack. And we're running Leech Seed to try to just be annoying, get some of that health back. And then kind of an offensive spread, in all honesty. This is meant to outspeed Metacam and kill with Moonblast, do as much damage as we can there, as well as pressure Grimmsnarl. It hits Sliggoo, it hits Gastrodon, it hits Inteleon, obviously, like we said. So, and Decidueye potentially might not have a way to hit us super well, so we can potentially 1v1 that as well. So, just kind of proving to be a solid offensive piece of the puzzle. We then have Camerupt, which is solely here for Regieleki, and pretty much Regieleki alone. We're running a little bit of a nifty set. We're running Sunny Day, Solar Beam, Flamethrower, and then Rocks. Rocks are just, super nice, especially when he has a Swellow. I want chip on that. But I fully anticipate to get... I'm kind of anticipating scenarios in my head with this Camerupt set. I'm fully anticipating Camerupt to switch in on Regieleki. Unless he doubles, he has to stay in. He could get up a screen. He could go for, Assurance or Ancient Power, something to hit me a little bit. Then he'll have to switch out. The only thing on his team that really switches into Camerupt Rel is that Gastrodon. Inteleon resists the fire, but gets smacked by an Earthquake. Scarm resists the ground, not Earthquake, Earth Power, but obviously dies to a fire move. It's neutral on everything else, and I don't anticipate Sliggoo coming. With that being said, if he goes into Gastrodon and I Sunny Day, we live any hit from Gastrodon, and we kill every Gastrodon with Solar Beam. Just with a modest nature, if he's max HP, max Spadef, plus Spadef nature, he still dies to Solar Beam. The only way he doesn't is if he's Rindo, and if we proc the Rindo, it's a lot easier for Whimsicott to beat it later on. We get damage off, we force him to recover, stuff like that. So Camerupt's pretty much meant to take advantage of Regieleki switching out and trying to kill Gastrodon in spite of it, but we're keeping this thing alive until Regieleki is dead, and that is Camerupt's pretty much sole value in this game. Then we have Archeops as our last one with a very weird set. We're running Scarf Archeops, which outspeeds Swellow. Thought about Regieleki, but I still don't outspeed max speed Regieleki with the Scarfed, pretty much second, essentially fastest mon on my team. So we decided to run just a mixed set because his rock resist is Gastrodon. I'm not counting Metacam. And then we're able to run Heat Wave and Air Slash to a pretty good effect. Air Slash is still really good versus his team. And then we have Heat Wave for Skarmory, which is really good at whittling that down. Then we have U-Turn for Momentum. So even if ideally Archeops is used as a bit of a revenger for Swellow to try to pick something off. We'll probably, if we pick something off with Head Smash, we'll probably recoil our way down into Defeatist range. However, then we still have Heat Wave and Air Slash to work with. So I'm going to switch overlays really quick into the battle. And we see Inteleon, Grimmsnarl, Aleki, Swellow, Skarmory, Decidueye. There's no Gastrodon and there's no Metacam. So immediately this gives me a couple pieces of information. Aegislash and Feeny become a lot more free to take on Inteleon, Grimmsnarl, Swellow, stuff like that, because they don't have to worry about switching into Mega Metacam, which is absolutely huge. And no Gastrodon means that it's easier for Vikavolt to win late game. I don't have to worry about a Rindo. It also frees up Camerupt immensely. Like, you look at his team and you look at what wants to switch into a Flamethrower, it's Inteleon. And he has to risk, Earth Power, which I don't have. But I don't think you necessarily switch Inteleon into Camerupt unless you're like AV. So Camerupt also looks really, really good. And he didn't bring either of his rock resists, which are, again, Metacam and Gastrodon. So Archeops also looks insanely, insanely good. So I have a really good feeling going into this. I'm gonna, play the win cons that I mentioned. And I decide to lead with Aegislash because, for a couple reasons, I live any one hit from anything on his team, essentially. It enables so I don't have to switch something into Swellow, which is probably the number one reason. But Decidueye doesn't kill me with any one hit. I can kill him with Shadow Ball. Inteleon doesn't kill me with any one hit. He probably pivots out and something takes a Shadow Ball. I discourage Grimmsnarl from going for many shenanigans because I have the Flash Cannon and he doesn't kill me with any one hit. And I'm able to hit Skarm on the special side and I can defog stuff later. So I'd with Aegislash and he leads Regieleki. I thought about going hard Camerupt, but I wanted just to see what he wanted to do as he sets up a sub. I have no reason not to go hard Camerupt. As good as Regieleki is, there is no set that can beat Camerupt. So he Ancient Powers, does 11, no boost, and I just get my rocks up. He Ancient Powers again, and I just break this up. And at this point, I'm trying to like toy with what shenanigans he could be going for. But again, like there's no Regieleki set that can, you know, beat Camerupt. So I get on my rocks. I'm just gonna, you know, continue to flamethrower this sub, and he ends up booming with the normal gem. So Camerupt goes down. But again, like I said, Camerupt is pretty much exclusively there for that Regieleki, and now I don't have to deal with that. So that also means Archeops now outspeeds his whole team, which is why I elect to go Archeops. I don't really envision Inteleon or Swellow, or even really Decidueye being scarfed. Looking at his team versus me, and this is something I was thinking about in preview with this Archeops set, it doesn't really make sense for him to run a Scarfer, because he has Swellow and Inteleon, which outspeed everything on my team, and Regieleki. I don't really anticipate Inteleon or Swellow being scarfed. That was something I was willing to risk, but he ends up going Grimmsnarl, and I'm thinking, great. If he goes for Reflect, I still two-shot him through the Reflect, which I'm assuming like a bulky screens Grimmsnarl. And if he doesn't go for Reflect and he's not Sash, he could just die. So I go for Head Smash, and he dies. And I'm able to pick off Grimmsnarl turn 7, which is really huge. And I go down just above Defeatist range, which is super, super nice. I don't know if that's something HP on his end. That wasn't like a huge finesse on my part. That was kind of just lucky that happened. But he goes into Skarmory. I thought about just staying in, but I don't know why I didn't just stay in. I think because I wanted to preserve the full power Head Smash for stuff later on, which definitely would have been super nice. So I elect to go out into Vikavolt. Again, like I said, trying to use this as fodder. And I see SD. And I'm just thinking Cole the Absolute Mad Lad is bringing offensive Skarm. So I'm really concerned about like an Endure, Salic, some type of shenanigan that he's running. But I have Vikavolt in. Vikavolt gets outsped by everything. It kind of dies to most things at this point. I'm going to see if I live. If he's like max attack adamant, I'm pretty sure I die to a Brave Bird, and I end up just dying to a Brave Bird. So unfortunately, I don't get to reveal my set, but he's at half. And I go to Archeops because I can revenge this with a Heat Wave. He ends up being Akka. So if he was an Akka, he just died right here, and we were in a fantastic spot again. But he's Akka. He ends up roosting, so I'm like, great, I can just hit him again. Unfortunately, I don't hit him again. I miss the Heat Wave, and I go down to a Brave Birds. And this was a very unfortunate turn. Skarm would have been dead, and I still would have had Archeops above Defeatist range, able to outspeed his whole team. I had Head Smashes. I can U-turn. I can Air Slash the Decidueye. And now I still have to deal with the Skarmory. So at this point, I'm running through a bunch of scenarios in my head. I'm down to 3 Pokemon, and it's turn 11. This has been a very fast-paced game, which, I mean, you look at what Cole brought. That doesn't surprise me in the slightest. Everything I have is at full health, but I have to make some decisions. Whimsicott can't kill Skarmory for beans, so that's not the play at all. Remember, my Feeny doesn't have Surf. It only has, you know, Nature's Madness, and Taunt, stuff like that, so I can't go into Feeny. So I have to take a hit with Aegislash, which I really don't want to do. However, he shows Night Slash, and that does measly 43 at +2, and we pick him off. So we're able to avoid the Skarmory nonsense. And he goes into Swellow. So at this point, I'm kind of looking at his team, and I'm thinking, because I have King Shield Protect with leftovers, preserving Aegislash is going to be absolutely crucial, especially because I have so few Mons left. Whimsicott is going to be really good for Inteleon. I still have a full health Feeny with Moonblast that's unresisted now that Skarm's gone. But I obviously want to scout what the Swell is, so we make the fine play. He can't really set up on me, so I King Shield, and he goes for Double Edge. So he shows Physical. So I'm thinking, great, he can't hit me, as he is forced to switch out into Decidueye. There's no reason for me to really predict. I go for Flash Cannon. I thought that was a really odd play, going into Swellow, especially when I had showed King Shield. He wasn't like trying to like lure me with Double Edge and then try to click Heat Wave or anything like that based on his set he showed me after. So that was just a bit of an odd play, but I'm able to chip Decidueye, and I get my nice little leftovers. I don't want to give him a setup for free, which ends up being Swords Dance. I don't want to give him Nasty Pot or Swords Dance for free on my King Shield. I've showed that I'm willing to King Shield defensively and disadvantage twice now. So I go into Whimsicott because obviously I'm not going into Feeny, but I'm able to chip him with Moonblast as he shows the Shadow Sneak. Gets a crit. That doesn't necessarily matter. It likely would have two-shot me. And I just have to sack Whimsicott to Shadow Sneak. As he's leftovers, I can't go into Feeny, so I have to go Aegislash. And this is where the prep comes in handy. He showed Shadow Sneak. I don't die to a Shadow Sneak. I was running the calcs, and based on how much he did to Whimsicott, it did, I believe, 72% max. So I don't die to a Shadow Sneak, but that puts me in a really, really bad spot because at that point, he can go Inteleon, and then Feeny has to take on Inteleon and likely Swellow as well with how low Aegislash will be. But I was thinking about the mind. I thought about this turn for a while, and if I King Shielded, and he showed, I don't think Poltergeist makes contact. He could be Spirit Shackle, but he knows I have King Shield, so he can go for like Swords Dance. Like he can outplay me, and then I'm really in a bad spot, and I would 100% die to Shadow Sneak, and then I probably lose the game because he has a Grass move for Feeny. So I just play on him, not thinking I have Shadow Sneak, and I'm able to pick off Decidueye. So this was an absolutely huge turn. This was a sigh of relief because now I'm thinking my Aegislash is at 82. Now I think Aegislash can potentially win the game, especially with Feeny. So I King Shield. I want to be back in Shield as he Focus Energies. I'm like, oh no, he's the sniper scope lens nonsense and crits me to 5%. I also love the nickname. That is a fantastic reference. But I'm able to live the hit. I get off a good bit of chip. I King Shield. No reason to not. And he goes into Swellow as I go for Shadow Sneak. So he was at 25. Shadow Sneak did kill based on everything I'd seen from the damage I'd done to him with the Shadow Ball. So at this point, I'm feeling really, really good that I was able to take that hit. I don't know for sure if it was a roll. I know if it was heavily in my favor, but obviously I went down to 5, so there's probably a chance it would have killed. And if it killed, there's a good chance I would have lost. But it didn't. Aegislash is still being bulky as ever. We get the King Shield off on the Swell. No reason not to again. We see Double Edge. We lower his attack. There's nothing he can kill me with. And he ends up being banded. So a very interesting bring, but we're able to pick off Swellow with the Flash Cannon. Inteleon comes in on rocks. It was in range before. It's definitely in range now, and we're able to pick that off with a Shadow Sneak. So we're able to slide out of that with a very slim 2-0 margin. Again, Cole told me afterwards he really didn't like his matchup, so he kind of just elected to bring just straight out offense on everything. I'm a little unsure about the Swellow bring, especially when I have a whole Aegislash. The Inteleon was a brilliant bring. I thought that was a really, really good set, and it nearly won too. I think he told me he had like Hyper Beam or something for Feeny. Like he had something crazy on there. And again, the offensive Decidueye, Skarmory as well. So really cool sets from Cole. But we're able to sneak out of there with a 2-0. We are sitting at 5-1 on top of our division after week 6. Good games again. An honor to play Cole. Again, nothing but good things to say about him in the league. But we're sitting 5-1. Another win in week 6. And if you made it this far, again, thank you for watching. And stay tuned for the rest of the season. Thanks again, and have a good rest of your day.